Today, I am going to tell you an anime about a boy who decides to return to his parents to inherit a business, but the parents tell him that they will not give him anything and instead he will have to take care of a girl. Let's start. A boy is on his way home waiting for the bus to go home when a little girl calls him father, but obviously this is not the father. The girl, all ashamed, fled from the place. Finally, the boy takes his bus and leaves. This boy arrives at his parents' house, more specifically at his parents' store, then he begins to remember how he decided to return. He had a musical group, but it was a complete failure and the 10 years he had invested in that group went to waste. One of those days he had received a letter from his mother, explaining that his father was very ill. Since he was unemployed and jobless, he decides to return to his parents' house, and more specifically to inherit the manias store. The manias are a kind of cupcakes but with a Japanese style. He enters all happy, but is received by his father with a blow. The thing was that his father only had a minor illness. Nagomu, all believed, tells his father that he is willing to be the new owner of his manias store, but his father tells him that he already has an heir for the store and it was not the. When a little girl arrives, the protagonist is surprised by this girl since it was the same one he saw at the bus station. This girl had been abandoned by her parents. The protagonist's parents had adopted her. The father explains that from now on this girl will be the new heir to the family business. The protagonist has nothing to say since he had abandoned his family more than 10 years ago. This girl was very hardworking, and she dedicated her time to the business. The protagonist's mother tells him the sad past of that girl. One day her parents came to eat at the store, but she was left because she was a nuisance. That is why he asks his son to be a father figure for the girl. The little girl is very hardworking and is admired by everyone, but the son is not very helpful, but he doesn't care. The girl is very proud and does her best not to disappoint the people who adopted her. The protagonist is completely useless and remembers the reason why he did not want the family business. One day he had heard how his parents told his son to do other things because the business was too short for him. And so he decided to go to another city. All this he told Atsuka. Someone had ordered 100 of those manias today, all thanks to little Atsuka who had received the order. Everyone praises the girl for being all professional, but here comes the problems. The person who had placed the order did not appear. They called the client, but he did not answer. Itsuka was so responsible that he didn't want the manias to go to waste. He goes to sell them to people on the street to see if anyone wants to buy them. The girl is sad, nobody wants to buy her manias, but the protagonist appears to help her with her sale of mayus. As the protagonist knew how to play music, they managed to sell all the manias. The protagonist realizes that it was helpful. Taking a fatherly role was not bad either. Mitsuru, the girl who helps in the kitchen, has a secret. She uploads videos playing music. She had become an amateur internet singer. She is well liked by all the people in the business. She is in high school and helps her parents with expenses, and with the upbringing of her 4 brothers, she had a dream of becoming a famous singer. She uploaded videos to YouTube, having an impact on the networks. The protagonist is watching this new amateur singer and realizes that Mitsuru is one of the employees of Manias's business. One day she unintentionally leaks information from where she works, even though she had been very careful. So the fans of this girl began to call the Manias store. The protagonist talks to her to tell them what is happening, and she begins to explain that she had fallen in love with the music and that it was her fault that they were calling the business where she worked. She wants to quit work because she is very sad and wants to quit music. But the protagonist tells him that nothing is wrong and gives him reasons to go ahead with his dreams, just as he did. He is willing to help this girl, so he along with Mitsuru go to talk to the mother of this singing girl, to listen to her daughter's thoughts. Leaving the house, the protagonist hopes that they have been able to talk quietly with their parents. The next day Mitsuru thanks the protagonist, because thanks to him, she was able to tell him what she really loved and what she wants to do in the future. In the end she had to show her family the video she recorded, and the parents they ended up accepting how their daughter is. She gives a gift as a thank you, and he also gives her some sweets for going to school. Now Mitsuru was happier than ever. The festivals have come, and little Itsuka remembers how her father had invited her to one of those festivals with her, but now her father had left. The family wants to go to the festivals, but little Itsuka doesn't want to go out with anyone other than her real father. The other members of the family understand her and don't want to pressure her. She is heading to school and she can see a person with a guitar that looks a lot like her father, and she starts to follow him. Getting on the bus, thinking it is her father, without realizing it she had fallen asleep. On the other hand, the protagonist finds out that the little girl had not arrived at school and started looking for her. While little Itsuka had reached the end of the buses, she does not lose hope of finding her father and goes in search of the damn father who abandoned her. She searches, but finds nothing, when a woman realizes she was alone and offers to help. The girl hesitates at first, but in the end she trusts her. The little girl tells her that she had been abandoned by her father and that she was very sad. Just at that moment the protagonist arrives and meets this woman. This pair apparently already knew each other, rather this pair were lovers, but since the protagonist was a total failure, he had been abandoned by this woman. The woman preferred European sweets than Manyas sweets. What a pity for the main character. In short, they send Itsuka to school, and this pair of ex-lovers are left alone to talk. This woman thinks that the protagonist was the father of the little Itsuka, but it was quite the opposite. The protagonist begins to explain that the real father of the little girl had abandoned her and that the parents of the protagonist had adopted her so that she is not alone. They remember that they had a good love relationship, but because of the protagonist's father's business, they had ended their relationship. The protagonist invites him to his father's business, but the place was crowded, so he ends up helping with the sale of Manyas. The protagonist's ex-girlfriend realizes that the protagonist is useless, so she ends up helping him. More night, the protagonist's family invites everyone to go to the festival. Little Itsuka doesn't want to go, but thanks to the protagonist's ex-girlfriend, who motivates her, and this event is just a practice for when her real father comes again. He trusts the protagonist for the first time and ends up shaking his hand, so that he doesn't get lost. The next day at work a problem occurred. One of the customers had complained about the poor service provided by the delivery man. The boss thought it was his son, but the one who had actually caused the problem was another employee named Saki. The thing was that the son of a family had fallen in love with a girl he had seen on Saki's cell phone. The client wanted to know more about that girl, but Saki had completely ignored him. The boys are curious to know who that girl is, but Saki doesn't want to tell them anything. One night, the protagonist finds that girl that everyone talks about. He wants to talk to her, but she does not answer. The protagonist makes a bad joke and makes that woman speak. The voice that woman had was that of a man. The voice was that of Saki, the Manyas delivery man. He cannot deny that he did this fetish. He had to calm his anxiety, but now that he was discovered, he wants to stop doing it. The protagonist tells him that he has his support and he should not pay attention to what others say and to enjoy what do you like the most. Also has a problem to solve. The next day Saki, dressed as a woman, goes to visit that man who wanted to meet him. Saki gives him a letter to stop looking for him, telling him that she is going to marry someone else and that it is not worth looking for him, along with a sweet and very sour menu for disappointment. The next day, the protagonist had already gotten used to working in this Manyas business. The protagonist's ex-girlfriend had also gotten used to coming to this business very often. She had some coupons to go to the swimming pool. She wants to give them to the owner of the place, but the lady says that she is old and that she will give them to her. Will hand over little Itsuka. The next day, the boys go to the pool. This time the protagonist had come, although the protagonist's ex-girlfriend does not like this situation. While the others have fun in the pool, the protagonist prefers to relax in the shade, remembering his best friend who taught him to play the guitar. Today was a lot of fun for the boys. In the distance, someone could be heard playing the guitar, and many people were thanking him for the concert. That person matched the characteristics of Atsuka's father.